This is a Miami Sports Music Podcast Network production. This is the #1 Miami fan morning show. Clock Blockers, let's go.
I know the whole city riding. A little early, it's a bit surprising. Business moves, now we enterprising. Switch it up, now we improvising. Go to get in the winter collar. Whole squad been trained to go. Fence for life, we throw the foe. Singing this just to welcome bro.
Stephen D. What up, baby? It's Spread Kindness Friday. Super excited to be hanging out with y'all. I'm your host, Stephen D. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My family with a PH, my Finlaws. I'm your host, Stephen Daniels. You can follow me on all social media at Stephen D. SKPL. Spread kindness, positivity, and love. What is going on, man? How y'all doing today? What is up? What's going on? You can also follow Miami Sports Music everywhere at Miami Sports Music, except on Twitter, where we are at MIA Sports Music. Make sure on your way in, you hit the like button. Hit it. Hit the like button. Why haven't you done it already? Seriously, make sure you hit the like button. It's a big deal. It helps the channel grow. It helps everything grow, and we can't do it without your help. So make sure you hit the like button, my guy, and subscribe to the channel. It's free to subscribe. Now, if you want to sign up to become a member of the family, my Vin Diesel voice, family, make sure y'all do that today because it helps. It goes such a long way into helping the channel grow. It makes things awesome. It makes you awesome. I'm just saying, do it. Do it. Do it now. Make sure you hit the sign up member now. Get to the chopper now. Sign up to become a member today now. I don't know if that's a good Arnold Schwarzenegger impression or not, but make sure you didn't. Make sure you do it. Make sure you do it, man. Hey, man. Also, hey, look, help the channel grow by donating. Lots of different ways you can do it. It's Spread Kindness Friday, which means 50% of all donations today, we're sending to a charity. We're sending to a charity today. And when Jason gets on, we're going to talk about the charity that we're going to be doing it, man. Rashad, no, we're just getting started, my guy. We're just getting started this morning. It's Spread Kindness Friday. I figured I'd do like a little lunchtime show today. Okay, little lunchtime show today. Kind of go over a whole bunch of different things. Wanted to change it up a little bit. But if you want to donate, remember, 50% of all donations are going to go to a charity today. When Jason, my co-host, gets on, we'll talk about the charity it's going to go to today. But just want to remind you, you can donate a few different ways. You can use the YouTube Live Super Chat, which is the $ below the bottom of the chat. You can also use Cash App, which is MSM Podcast Network, or use the QR code that's right on your screen, or you can use MSM Podcast Network on PayPal, or use the QR code that's right on your screen. Make sure y'all do it. It's awesome. It's awesome. Do it. Do it now. Get to the chopper now. You guys haven't said if my Arnold Schwarzenegger impression was good or not, okay? I'm starting to think that you don't appreciate my impressions, okay? I work hard. I work hard on these just for you. Want to give a big shout out to sponsors of the show, ZSM Sports, EA Sports. It's in the game. ZSM Sports, the #1 place to get cards, jerseys, balls, and hard-to-find items. Make sure you get your ZSM Sports today. Okay, cards, jerseys, balls, whatever you got. Make sure you follow my man Zach on Instagram at SportsZSM. ZSM Sports. It's in the game. God, if the EA Sports guy ever needs a new guy, I got it. I got it down pat. EA Sports. It's in the game. Lime, less is more events. We love less is more events. Why do we love less is more events? Well, I'll tell you why we love them. Because they supply tickets for sports and entertainment for less than the competition. That's right, allowing you to have more fun. Call 202-930-3533 today. Why? Because you get a personalized experience with tickets to the game or event you want to today. Lime takes pride in providing the hottest tickets at great prices with absolutely zero service fees. No service fees. Okay? Zero. None. Okay? Make sure y'all do it. Lime tickets. It's the best tickets around. Okay? Tailgreeter. Download the app today on your current Apple or Android devices. No, seriously, get your best crapple stuff over there. I'm not playing with you guys. Make sure you guys download the app. It's free, doesn't cost anything. And you can also use you can go to tailgreeter.com. And I just want to remind you guys, we got a lot of amazing events coming up. We got the Philly Finvasion in Philadelphia. We got tickets to the game. Man, we got everything, man. We got everything. What else? We got the FedEx Takeover, tailgate, tickets to the game, meet and greets the night before. We got a whole bunch of stuff for that. What else do we got? We also got the Baltimore Beatdown on New Year's Eve. That's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you guys are here for that. Last year we had over 150 people. We're expecting the same amount this year. We're expecting over 200 in Philly. We're expecting over 200 in DC. It's gonna be a good time. EA Sports. It's in the game. Make sure y'all do it. Come on, guys. Seriously. Come to the game. Hang out with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right? I want to see y'all there. It's going to be good times. Good times. All right? I'm not going to sing for y'all. I would never do such a thing. Okay? Would never, ever, ever, ever do such a thing. All right, man. Today's going to be a great show. We got a great show lined up for you today. We're obviously going to stay afoot to all the latest Miami Dolphins news as it comes around. Why is that? Because, we just a lot of stuff to talk about, right? ESPN doing a whole bunch of layoffs today. We're going to be discussing that and obviously the future of sports coverage and where that's headed. We're going to get into a little bit more conversation, Jason and I, about the NFL gambling policy problems and why FanDuel and DraftKings in the NFL and, the issues with these players. There's a rumor today that there's going to be a big list of players dropping of suspensions because of the gambling policy issues or that were, broken. So, I'm sure we'll wait for that information maybe to come out today while we're on the show live. And then we're going to, it's Miami sports music. We got to discuss the Miami Dolphins and the priorities and what Jason and I believe should be the priorities for the Miami Dolphins as we go in. I want to say hello to a few people in the chat. First person I want to say hello to is Mr. Chef Zhu is in the building. Good morning, Chef Zhu. Mr. Newly Married Man. I saw congratulations to Chef Zhu and the missus recently just got the official marriage. They had the wedding. What was it? Last weekend, I think. Last weekend, Chef. So shout out to you, my guy. I miss you, man. I didn't get an invitation to the wedding, Chef. I saw a lot of people there. Dolph Freaky, lots of other people. So yeah, we got man, there's so many people here calling me. My phone is blowing up. It's the weekend. It's Friday. Spread kindness Friday. Make sure y'all do that. But I want to say congratulations to Chef Zhu. Shout out to you, my guy. You've been down with the cause since day one, and I love you, and I'm glad that you found some happiness with the missus and just keep doing your thing, man. Congratulations to Chef Zhu. Marino's Goat is in the building. G is also in the building. Maria. Oh, Jason just tried to pop in there for a second. I'll bring you on in a second. You hold your horses there, man. He was like, look, I got to get on. I got to see Stephen D's face. I want to say hello to everybody first, and then I'll bring you on, Jason. I got Kurt in the building. Maria is in the building. Good morning. How's everybody doing? I got Raul is in the building. Flipside Fishing. Hey, I didn't think you were going to go live today. Awesome. See, I made your day, man. I made your day. Okay? I love it. Let's go. Zach Turk, morning, Steven. Big Marlins win. Got the sweep. They brought out the brooms last night to Boston. First time ever the Marlins swept the Boston Red Sox. Ever. Never happened before. We turned that M and flipped it to a W. Weekend, man. I love it. Super excited about it. It's big, man. Are you just starting or is my YouTube tweaking? No, I don't know. Maybe you're tweaking, Rashad. I don't know. Raphael Shaquin. What's up, Raphael? How are you? Good morning. G, I think I've already said. Wade, Christopher is good. Kurt, Steven on a gummy this morning. Bro, let me tell you, I've been on a gummy once or twice, and I've had my fair share. Okay, and let me just tell you, my guy, I did not take any gummies this morning. I would be on 20. I would be wired. Well, I'd be wiry. Okay, I'm just telling you. Rick Spar said, "Look who made it." Chef Shu says, "Team Android all day." Like it, definitely like it. Who else is in here this morning? Real quick, Zach Turk. What's up? My birthday was June 22nd. Then the wedding was on that Saturday, June 24th. Hashtag both celebrate. Well, happy birthday, my guy. How old did you turn, Chef? That's the real answer. How old did you turn? However old you turn, that's the donations we want to take today. If you turn 50 years old, Chef Shu, we want $50 donations today. If you turn, just don't say anything less than 20 something, okay? And that's the donations. Just remember, 50% of all donations we're going to send to a great cause today. So keep the donations coming in. Stephen, text or green. Are you trying to say something, sir? We all know that Android is the best. Android is the best. My bad with the invitation, fam. I know. I thought I was cool. Doll Freaky and I were talking last night about the Philadelphia stuff, and she goes, "Why were you at Chef Shu's wedding?" I was like, "I was never invited. I wasn't invited." The other #1 Miami fan morning show was okay. Whatever her name is, that lady, that person who shall remain nameless. I saw her there. I saw Pamela there. I saw Doll Freaky there. I didn't see Stephen D there, though. Samaj was in there. What's up, Samaj? How are you? All right, without further ado, it's Spread Kindness Friday. Let me bring in my co-host, my brother from another mother, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jason Sarney.
Morning, Steven. Morning, everybody. Happy Friday.
What's up, man? You got your coffee? You ready to go?
Cup 3, ready to roll.
Cup 3, man. You've been so. First of all, you and I have not talked to each other in like 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. It's been a minute. How are you, man? How's life?
Life's good. Fun time of year because it's like a preparation year before a huge amount of work and a huge storm. So
I know. I mean, What is it? 6 weeks? Are we 6 weeks away? I don't even think we're 6 weeks away.
No, we're less than that, man. We are literally a month away from fans being able to be in practice. So logistically, I'm trying to figure out when I'm going to get down there. Know a lot of people are, looking for their travel plans. So the rookies are going to report in the middle of July, veterans a week later, and then fans are going to flood that practice facility and watch our boys work.
Jason, did you hit the gritty? Did you do the gritty somewhere?
G, we're going to retire the gritty. And I it's too soon, man. Like, it's too soon. I love you, but like my guys in New England, it's too soon.
It's too soon.
My 8-year-old Jordan loves the gritty. I've outlawed it in this house.
I love it. No more gritty to be done at the Sarney residence at all. No.
I'm sorry.
You're done. If I see you do the gritty, you're getting kicked out of the house in the Sarney
if
residence.
88 comes back, I'll do the gritty.
Oh my goodness. All right, it's Spread Kindness Friday. That means 50% of all the donations that we make on Spread Kindness Friday to the show are going to go to a cause. Jason, man, I know you and I haven't really been able to talk, but what cause do you want to give to today? Whatever cause you want to give to is the cause that we will give to today. I'm putting a lot of faith in your thing today. Whatever cause you want to give 50% of the donations to today, that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do, Jason.
I really love that. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be something that I'm in this community. You can't go wrong with any organization that does such a good job of raising money or, helping out causes, communities, charities. Yep. So this is a tough one. But recently I want to shout out a player who has really started a foundation, a current Dolphin, and the cause is phenomenal. And there's going to be a lot of good, fun things coming up. Nick Needham just started a foundation with his mom called 4D Fam. 4D, like David, 4D which is a play off of his FODI. FAM, FAM.org. So check it out when you have a chance. FODFAM.org. And Nick has really started to become a public speaker, a real big philanthropist and advocate on mental health, keeping young athletes and young children off of the streets, off of, the enticing of alcohol or drug use. He's really a multifaceted message on 4dfam.org. He did a free football camp last week in California with a former teammate of his at high school, a current Atlanta Falcon, Jalen Hawkins. So Nick's working, man. He's rehabbing, he's working, he's giving back. So to piggyback of what he's been doing recently, and I'll tell you a little bit about what he's going to be doing soon. Let's give it to 4dfam.org.
All right, so that's what we'll do today. If you could actually send that to me in the private chat on Facebook, that link, and then also put it in the chat, we'll do that too. But 50% of all donations sent to the show today will be sent to Nick Needham's new nonprofit organization. What is it called?
4D Fam. I'm going to throw it in right here on the chat.
So make sure all 50% of all the donations sent to us today, whether they're through whether they're through the YouTube, whether they're through Cash App or PayPal. Okay, and the links are in the description below, by the way. If you're watching on YouTube, you can do it up there. If you're Cash App and PayPal, just let me know if you send it. 50% of all the donations, we're going to send a donation to 4dfam.org, which is Nick Needham's nonprofit. And that's what we're going to do here on Fridays from here on out. 50% of all donations made on Friday, they're going to a good cause. That's what we want to do. It's called Spread Kindness Friday, and we're going to keep up with spreading kindness everywhere and anywhere that we can, which is ultimately what we want to do. One of the things I've always wanted to do by having this show is just making a bigger and better impact on the world. All right, man, let's kind of get into it real quick. I know you're not a big NASCAR fan at all, but NASCAR is going to be in Chicago this weekend. They're actually doing a race in Chicago, downtown Chicago, or right on the outskirts of downtown, right next to the water. Now, you've been to Chicago before, Jason, right?
I love Chicago. Chicago in the summer is one of the best places in the world.
One of the things that I think is really cool about NASCAR going to somewhere like Chicago, when you see a sport try to go outside of their comfort zone of what they have or what they normally do. I know you're not a big NASCAR fan, but how cool is it for a sport to kind of invade a new territory and where they've never been before? And what type of impact can that sport have when they go into a new market that they've never been in before?
You got to do it. There's probably a fear in that, of course, but it's a frontier that you have to go. You have to expand. You have to adapt. So I think that if any, there was once a time, just to generalize it and bring it back into football, there was once a time where someone would have heard that a crazy individual wanted to bring sports to Miami. One person's going to want to watch football in Miami or South Florida as a whole. And then Don Shula said, well, bring me on. So the organization was made by Joe Robbie. A couple of years later, they hired Don Shula, and Don Shula is the reason why South Florida's got sports. So you never know.
You're right, 100%. I tell people that all the time. Hey, real quick, Maria Carabello just sent $50 on Cash App.
One of the best. Maria is one of the best out there.
Shout out to Maria sending $50 on Cash App, which means 25 is going towards Nick Needham's new nonprofit 4dfam.org.
That is awesome. One of the pillars of the community.
Let's keep the donations coming in today. 50% of all donations going towards Nick Needham's nonprofit 4dfam.org. All right. Hey, so I wanted to say that because, sports in general just seems to be growing and expanding. And I thought it was a good segue to just at least touch briefly on NASCAR going to Chicago and how big of an impact that's going to be, which, by the way, I'm pretty excited about that, by the way, is ESPN. ESPN for years was probably the way that we all got our sports coverage. Stuart Scott, who will forever be one of my favorite sports broadcasters of all time, RIP. I mean, I'm telling you, he was absolutely amazing. ESPN for me and Sports Center in the mornings and Sports Center late at nights, they were it, Jason. Like, that's how I got all my sports intake for years, and probably how a majority of us did. Well, ESPN today is laying off over 20 employees that include the likes of Max Kellerman, Susie Kobler, Kobler. I always say that. I apologize. Jalen Rose, Jeff Van Gundy after 16 years. How big is this impact of ESPN's layoffs to the wide world of sports and ESPN in general? Just to touch on that, because I think it says a lot about where sports is at and the coverage of sports. But just before we get into that, I want to talk about ESPN specifically in these layoffs.
Listen, I'm someone who in another world was very much in the world of employment as a recruiter, so hearing layoffs, hearing firings, hearing people losing their jobs, it was just unfortunately just a daily occurrence for me. So I'm very sympathetic of it. And I know that in a lot of cases, these layoffs just have nothing to do with the individual who it happens to. It's just an unfortunate circumstance of business. So, you hope that these, individuals find their footing, which I'm sure that they will. They're very good at what they do, but this is also a scary time in the world. There's cuts in a lot of different areas because you have things like artificial intelligence. You have a lot of things that are cutting out writer jobs. I'm a writer. I'm a content creator. I'm terrified, frankly.
It's totally different, man. It's totally different.
In a correlation of the world, what I do is I'm a freelance writer. So other than my Dolphin work, my main meat and potatoes, I create content for a marketing company that does work with entities that we've been basically talking about. So these layoffs were known for a while. A lot of people knew them, and from an organization on what I do, you got to prepare for it and you got to adapt. So unfortunately, you got to adapt to what's going on in this market, in this world. And ESPN, they have a lot of competitors. They obviously have a bottom line. There
was a time where ESPN was it, though, Jason. Remember, there's that line in
that's part of it.
There's that joke in Anchorman where ESPN, a 24-hour sports network, that'll never work. And now we live in a world where there's Fox Sports, there's CBS Sports, right. There's Amazon Sports, there's a million different entities that doesn't even include YouTube. But real quick, before we get into that, because I think that's a whole different conversation in itself that I do want to dive into. We look at ESPN, and for years, like ESPN's coverage of Monday Night Countdown has changed over the years, right? And now it's not going to have Steve Young. It's not going to have Susie Kobler. It's not going to have maybe a couple of other people. I mean, they're talking about some big names, Keyshawn Johnson being let go. What does sports coverage on ESPN look like now? And mind you, they're doing all of these huge layoffs, and they just signed Pat McAfee to a ridiculous deal. And is that where sports is kind of headed right now, where they're more worried about, the podcast? Like, is ESPN changing their format just period because of where we're headed? Are they adapting to where we're at in the world?
Very possibly. And yeah, you're looking at podcasters like a McAfee, like a Joe Rogan, making huge amounts of money because we're in a world of micro content. Here's something funny, and call me whatever you want. I don't necessarily listen to a Joe Rogan, but I enjoy scrolling on TikTok and seeing a couple of seconds of micro content from him. Yep. Same thing with Pat McAfee. Now you could say, wow, sorry, you have an attention span of a 5-year-old. Maybe a 12-year-old. But the fact of the matter is that's where we're going. 30 years ago, when I was 12, there's the math for you guys, I would not go to bed without, in the summer or any time, but in the summer specifically, watching Baseball Tonight to know who hit the home runs. Because that was my only source of it. Baseball Tonight on ESPN. In the morning, I wouldn't not have breakfast without SportsCenter. Keith Olbermann.
Top
Keith
10
Olbermann and Dan Patrick
were amazing. Yeah.
That was my duo.
Got him. From Randy Moss. I mean, come on. Like, that's all those things are going to go, like they're gone.
They're gone.
And the way we kind of take in, I mean, you look at ESPN right now, and they have they spent all this money on Troy Aikman and help me out, who's the guy who does the games with Aikman? Joe Buck and Aikman. But on ESPN2, they put all this money and time and effort into the Manning cast. And now that is getting just more people are watching that than they're watching Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. And it makes that signing almost like, well, if you're going to make all these layoffs, why even have Joe Buck and Troy Aikman and just have the Manning cast?
Well, let me go on record to say that you can have Peyton Manning and Eli Manning read the phone book and you're going to get ratings. That's just number one.
Definitely. That's true.
Sometimes you get that, but the way that we are is, there are people who watch football muted because they're watching another TV next to their TV, watching a sitcom that's on Netflix and binging it. Yep. We're
we also live in a world now where I'm watching a game or I have that on and I have my tablet next to me and my phone next to me and I'm on Twitter and I'm on YouTube and I'm watching the game and I'm on 3 different devices to take in one piece of content. And that's the type of world that we kind of live in right now. People are watching us on Facebook currently, and they're also watching us on YouTube, and they're working or they're working out or they're, just hanging out, like they're doing tasks around the house, whatever it may be. And that's what it is. Like, that's the kind of the world that we live in now, where you can take in content. I like what you said, in microdoses off of the TikTok and the Instagram and stuff like that. And I think that's the world that we live in now. Now, to kind of transition into where sports is headed, ESPN makes this big signing with Pat McAfee. A lot of true Pat McAfee fans are a little worried about ESPN holding kind of what they're doing in their hands, because Pat McAfee is kind of goes against the grain of what ESPN has done for the last 20 years. And I think that they've made a decision that if they don't adapt, they're going to die. And, it goes to that line in Moneyball with what's his face, Brad Pitt, where he's like, adapt or die. And that's kind of where we're at right now. Mm-hmm. And so looking at that, YouTube and Amazon, we've had this conversation before on the show. YouTube is kind of is the number 2 search engine in the world. When people search for stuff, the number 2 place they search for it on YouTube, because it's being talked about somewhere on some sort of live stream or podcast. We call ourselves a podcast. We're pretty much a live stream here, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, the good thing about what we do here on our show is I like what Joe just said. YouTube and podcasts is what radio used to be, but I can walk away, do some family stuff, and come back to it later and pick it up where I left off. 100, almost exactly what I was about to say, Joe, word verbatim, word for word. And that's kind of the content that we have now. And it's made an opportunity for guys like you and I to be able to do the show on Fridays, because whether we have 55 people watching us or 500 people watching us or 5,000 people watching us, which we'll get to one day here at Miami Sports Music, I'm sure of it. It's going to happen. Speaking into existence, make it come to fruition. I think that those are things that you will see as we move forward. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. You mentioned this platform, podcasters, like couple of decades ago, as a Northeastern or New Yorker, specifically, sports talk radio was it for me. Those were my commutes. Those were my, working out, listening to headphones. You know what I mean? Like, first time, long time. You know what I mean? Like,
first time, long time. Doug from Lake Peninsula.
We're all from the Bronx. Vinny from Staten Island. That was sports to me. And if I had the ability as like a 15-year-old to just like flip a switch and have my own sports talk radio, that would have been it for me. There are people who could do that right now. Someone might not have the ability to do it, and within 20 minutes, within 2 minutes, can do what we're doing right now. And that's where we're going. We're going to, there's something for everyone. There's an opportunity for everyone to do what they want to do. And we live in a world where there's enough people, and it's small enough where you could hit your audience if you do it the right way. So people who work for ESPN, there's not just the competitors of other networks. look at everyone out there who's a competitor right now. Someone
and that's kind of what I'm saying. That's another thing that I wanted to kind of touch into. You look at guys like Keyshawn Johnson and Jay Williams and Jalen Rose and Jeff Van Gundy and Susie Kobler and all these people. They don't even have to go to a new entity. They can literally go on a YouTube channel, start their own podcast, and get viewers. So my next question to you is, we talk about the Miami Dolphins community, and there was a point where it was probably 3 or 4 people, right? There was Doug, TD, Reason, and K Flexen. I think at one point, those were like the 4 main ones. Shout out to all of them. And now there's 35 or 40 different Miami Dolphins YouTube channels. And I love every second of it, by the way. I'm a huge fan of all these different entities because I think everybody has something to offer. But where does it come to a point now where, okay, now all these big different, personalities on ESPN are going to start their own podcast? Where does it come to a point where there's only 24 hours a day in a day, and there's only so much content that you can take in? So are people all of a sudden now vying for what's the word I want to use? Popularity. Is their social media presence going to play a bigger factor if they have more social media followers, stuff like this? Because I think there's going to be some good personalities that maybe don't have a strong social media presence, or that they're going to slip through the cracks and you're not going to hear from them anymore. I really believe that's going to be the case. And there's good podcasters and live streamers out there right now that I don't think will ever get a chance because their name is nothing. And it's something where, it's kind of tough to break into the business now, especially when you have former NFL players and former professional athletes doing their own thing that I'm doing now. And how do I, Stephen Daniels, compete with something like that, right?
It's very interesting. Like when you think about the people now in the market, like a Susie Colbert is going to be snatched up by someone, if not doing something on her own. NFL Network can turn around and say, hey, we're going to make you a sideline reporter. Done. She's got the credentials to do that. She could walk in sight unseen, say, I'm Susie Colbert. What do you got for me? Not everyone else can do that, because my point that I'm going to get to is, and it's going to tie back to with all the Dolphin content out there. It's not just talking about the subject. The subject is football, sure. But then it goes within. What are you talking about within the subject of football? If I were to create a podcast about X's and O's, it would die. Mm-hmm. You know why? Because I'm not the best X's and O's guys out there. I'm going to say that right now. You want X's and O's? Go to Kyle, go to Travis. Go to Reason.
Reason's right? One of the best when it comes to X's and O's.
I'm going to shout out people who deserve to be shouted out in the areas that I think that they are the experts in. So there's your 3, okay? Mm-hmm. For my money, or for my just knowledge of the situation. If I want to get entertained, if I want to, enjoy the content, if I want the best of all the worlds, I'm going to throw on Doug Duro, because Doug Duro is going to put a smile on my face, entertain. He's going to bring the content that I can trust, right? Mm-hmm. And my point is that there's enough content within the micro world of football for everyone to absorb. I don't care if you listen to a podcast at 2x speed, just so when you're in the middle of it, you hear what someone says about the area that you want to say.
And it's just like stand-up comedy, right? Like stand-up, there's different strokes for different folks, and you can find something that makes you feel, look, I tell people all the time, do I have 500 people on, a live stream like TD or Reason or Doug do? If they do a live stream, no, but I'll take my 50 that are watching right now any day. And I probably average 110, 120 a day, but on a good day. And my thing is, I want people to connect with the content that they're getting in. And I think that when you start having a whole bunch of people coming into one market, into one thing, there's going to be people that get lost. There's going to be people that they can't compete. Right. And I have to admit, even for myself, I kind of sit here and question, like, holy cow, like if ESPN is laying off these amazing people, and they got to know that they're better off on their own, maybe, in creating their own podcast. I mean, Pat McAfee set the trail for everybody. I don't care what anybody says. And Joe Rogan too, right? Joe Rogan and Pat McAfee are probably like the two people that I could be like, look at what they created from nothing, absolutely nothing. And now they got $100 million deals from, Spotify and ESPN. And it's crazy, but it's about putting that on a larger platform and doing it big. The last thing I kind of want to touch on this before we move on to the next topic is, do you see a world where how are people going to be judged by success? Is it going to be judged on downloads, views, donations? How are people going to be judged? And what are people going to do to, to say, you know what, I can't do it by myself, but are we going to see more people team up? Are you going to see more podcast networks pop up over the next several years? Because people are going to say, well, my podcast is okay, but his podcast is really good. And if I can get on board with his and piggyback off his, and now all of a sudden from 6 to 9, I'm doing one, or 6 to, and now all of a sudden, I here's what I think. Just like you see, cable used to be, and there's 500 channels on cable. I think YouTube kind of is the same way, right? And now all of a sudden there's going to be these sports channels on YouTube and Miami Sports Music Podcast Network, all these things, and I think that's where my personal opinion is, that's where the future is. It's going to be people coming together and creating these bigger entities like Barstool Sports, and now, because Barstool Sports has content 24 hours a day pretty much now. You can go get some live content from Barstool somewhere 24 hours a day, whether it's 1 a.m. or 1 p.m. And I think that's where sports is headed.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think, there's just so much out there potentially versus 20, 30 years ago. Again, there was once a time where if you wanted to watch a music video, you would watch either MTV or VH1, and now neither of those networks play music videos.
Yep.
I've seen Ocean's 11 on VH1. What? It's like movies are being played on music channels. But point is, people can create their content channels because there's going to be ability for people to watch them instantaneously like never before. Sitting in an airport, on a bus, just walking while working out. Now, you don't need to just watch TV after work at night with your family with a TV dinner in front of the TV. Everything has changed, and now people have the ability to create this as a life, a business. You're doing it. I'm doing it. A lot of other people are doing it. But if you stick within your niche, right?
Yeah,
I think you could succeed. If you're someone out there who wants to talk Dolphins, do it. But find the area that you could do it. Adam Sandler is an actor, right?
Yeah.
He can't play Iron Man. I wouldn't go see him play Iron Man. It's not the right fit.
But I'll see him play Happy Gilmore any day of the week.
But that's my point. Like if I would advertise a show for me to talk about, I could handle myself in a pinch to tell you what a 3-4 defense is. But gun to head, listen to a couple of other people than me in that. In my world, trust for me what you want to trust me in my expertise. And that's my thought process there.
I agree. I would totally agree with that. All right. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. It is Spread Kindness Friday. Jason Sarney co-hosting along with myself, Stephen Daniels. Remember, 50% of all donations today are going to be going towards what charity are we raising 50% of all donations for today, Jason?
For Nick Needham's charity, 4dfam.org. I'll read you their mission statement right now. Basically, in terms of what they're looking to do, spread awareness to youth for the dangers of drugs and alcohol while helping teens with setting goals, working hard and staying focused, and encouraging people to communicate with their families about mental health issues. So this really encompasses a lot, but I think they're all cut in that same subject. So I really, really, really love what Nick is doing, and it just cuts right into the mold of what Miami Dolphins do off the field. Best friggin' organization in sports from Don Shula in the worlds of philanthropy, fundraising, community relations. So bravo. And yeah, I'll tell you what, right off the bat, let's do it. Who wants a number 2 card? You want to raise some money?
We'll raise some money, man. Let me put you on the big screen.
All right.
And you can we can try to raise some money here.
I've been waiting for this card, and now, wow, talk about perfect. How many days are left until Miami Dolphin football?
I think like 56, right?
72.
72. Ooh, 72.
Ooh, which is a fun number in Miami Dolphin world to begin with, right? Yeah. This is the number 2 card. It's a beautiful card. They call this a disco blue prism, I think.
Okay.
It is from this year's prism set. Okay. So it's not a rookie. It's a beautiful card, though. And it's numbered 72 out of 79. So not only are there only 79 of these, it is numbered perfectly.
72 days till the Miami Dolphins season begins. We're going to give away a number 72 out of 79 card of Tua Tagovailoa, and it's a blue prism. So it's a there's only 79 of these cards in the world.
I think they like to call this also a disco. So it's just, these card vernaculars, it's so weird. But the more buzzwords, it's like a John Gruden play. Yeah. The more words, the more fun it could be.
All right, so we're gonna do double up donations. We're gonna start it out at $1, and we're gonna work our way up. And so if somebody donates $1, the next person, if they want to win it, needs to donate $2. If that person donates $2, the next person has to donate $4, and we'll keep going up until we get to the highest. And your donations will go such a long way, and we'll cut it off. Let's say at 12:05. So it's 11:53 now. So at 12:05, which is 12 minutes away. We'll do it for the next 12 minutes, and we'll see who gets the most donations up here. If you donate on Cash App or PayPal, just put it in the chat, and we'll try to make sure that we see it. So start it out at $1. Who wants this card? We'll send it to you. Shipping and handling will be free to the lower 48. So we'll definitely make that happen. All right.
Alaska, I'll throw you in there. I'll buck it up.
Alaska and Hawaii.
Anchorage, we love you.
All right, guys, $1 right now for the Tua Tagovailoa. Put it up one more time. Throw it up on the screen. Throw it. Get it closer. Get it closer. Get it closer. Get it closer. Closer. There we go. I like it.
And then just to prove the numbered aspect. Boom.
There we go. I like it. Let's go. $1, baby. Starts out at $1. And I got my Cash App and my PayPal things on too. So let's get it going. Remember, 50% of all donations going toward Nick Needham's charity today. So let's do it, man. Let's get these donations up here. All right. Next thing I want to kind of get into today, Jason, has to do with the NFL gambling policy. I think this is a very interesting thing. We kind of touched on it yesterday. It feels like every day now over the last week and a half, there's some new news coming out about a player being suspended for 6 games due to contract violating the NFL's gambling policy. What is your take on all this first? I just want to get your first of all, your take on this.
You gotta be very careful with this because it's part of, like I referenced before, this world and topic is part and parcel of what I do for a living, right? So while it's very prevalent, fantasy gambling within our world, you can't participate in it if you are a player. Before I go into more detail with that, I realize that there are situations that players, I don't want to go into a rabbit hole. Yes, people do things off the field that could be considered a heck of a lot worse than gambling on a game. Here's where I go back to my history in the world of employment. If you're in breach of something that your company or organization or governing body tells you you cannot do, and you do it, you are going to be reprimanded. They were in direct violation of placing bets when they were told to not. It's as cut and dry as that. It's stupidity going against verbiage that is literally in the orientation book, right? Yes, there are other more egregious offenses, but there's verbiages around those as well. If you're going to do something that is in direct breach of gross misconduct, essentially, you can do things outside of your place of employment that are legal, but you can't do it at work. It's legal if you're over 21 to have a drink. If you pop a beverage open at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Thursday, your boss could fire you for doing that. It's essentially a similar concept to me. If you do a vice, it doesn't mean that you should be reprimanded by it. But if you're doing it while employed by entities that tell you can't.
Maria just sent $5 for the card. So the next donation, if you want to beat it, has to be 10. Double up donations. So Maria at $5 right now has the winning bid for the Tua Tagovailoa card. All right. So, look, here's what I'm going to say, Jason. This is my thought process to everything. There are certain the NFL decided a few years ago that they were going to, sports in general, let's be honest, not just the NFL, right? But sports in general decided, hey, look, the NFL, these leagues are going to take on the opportunity to bring on more added revenue and partner up with these outlets like DraftKings and FanDuel and other entities similar to them, Caesar Sportsbook, so on and so forth, Barstool Sportsbook, and now there was never kind of any rules to kind of how this would turn out. We all kind of knew that there would be some sort of transition on how players were allowed to do stuff and what players were allowed to do and not allowed to do. But one of the most controversial things in all of sports is Pete Rose and what he did to get banned in baseball. And so now you're kind of, you're kind of looking at it and you're saying, hey, look, if they're sitting here like every other commercial when I watch an NFL game has to do with fantasy sports or daily fantasy sports or, betting and wagering and over unders and point spreads. And I can't even turn on even ESPN. Speaking of ESPN, the bottom ticker line now has the point spreads on it. Years ago, that was never something that they did. And so there's kind of this, I don't know, game or interesting, contradiction that the leagues and the players and what they're promoting is kind of having. Now, there was a player yesterday from the Indianapolis Colts who kind of came out in front of it and said, hey, look, did I violate the conduct policy the way that it's set? Yes. But to be fair, I never gambled on football. And the only reason I'm being suspended is because I placed a bet that had nothing to do with football on an app that they promote inside of a building, inside of the Colts facility. That's it. And he got suspended 6 games for that.
But you got to ask yourself.
That's just insane, man. That's insane.
Sure. Is it excessive? Fine.
It's excessive.
That conversation for another specific within it. But punishment, do you have to do what he did? You're a professional athlete. Do you have to do that in that app, in that location, in that sport, in that scenario during that time?
Jason, you and I have both walked into player facilities in multiple different professional leagues, right? And even college, right? Do you know how much downtime those players have that they're just sitting around doing nothing on their phones and tablets and shit? So if I'm in the afternoon and I'm taking a 30-minute lunch break and I'm on my phone in between meetings and I want to place a couple of bets on tonight's NBA games and I'm in the NFL, I'm not allowed to do that? Are you kidding me? That's stupid to me, Jason. Especially again, when the NFL's promoting.
I'll tell you what.
In its entirety.
Let me give you this. Going back to another thing. It's 12:45 on a Wednesday in New York City in a building of business. Mm-hmm. Someone just finished their their sandwich and is at their desk and wants to take a 5-minute mental break. Oh, it's Monday. Maybe there's a game on tonight. I'm gonna go to this website at work. Oh, FanDuel. Oh, I'm gonna deposit $25. Sure. I'm gonna gamble. Uh-oh. Human resources flagged that site. I gambled at work. Now they want
Cruz Ruiz, $5 right now. Maria Carabello has $5 on Cash App, so it needs to be 10 in order to beat it. It's double up donations. So just so you know, it needs to be 10 in order to double up. Go ahead.
I was trying to make. Thank you for donations, everybody. Point I was trying to make is you could do something totally benign, but within certain walls where there are rules and regulations and restrictions, especially if you're getting paid. You have to wait to do certain things.
Okay, so all right, so I
watch an episode of Seinfeld if you're bored.
I used to work at Bank of America, right? I can admit that. I used to work at Bank of America, and they had policies of things that you were not allowed and allowed to look up. Now, one of the things that they ended up doing was putting, if you got to, be on their Wi-Fi network, and as long as you were on the Wi-Fi network and you tried to go somewhere, it would block you. There would be a block to go to that website, right? And so I feel like, the NFL probably should do the same thing there. Cruz Ruiz at $10 total. So right now the winning bid for the Tua Tagovailoa card, Cruz Ruiz on YouTube, $10. So if you want to beat that, you got to go to 20. If you want to beat the Tua Tagovailoa card, you got to go to 20. That's the new that'll be what it takes to be the winning bid. Cruz is the current winning bid at $10. 10 more minutes, by the way, for this. Just kind of looking at it, I hear your point. But the one thing at Bank of America, when I used to work there, is they weren't sitting there promoting some sort of entity and then saying, well, we know we're trying to get, we're selling this and we're having you promote it to our clients and customers, but because you work here, you're not allowed to do it yourself. What? I might work here, but I'm a consumer too. And so I understand the betting on your own games, betting in your own league. I don't think you should be able to do that. I don't have any problem with that. I do, however, have a problem that this guy from the Indianapolis Colts is getting suspended 6 games and never, in my opinion, did nothing unethical. And is getting suspended for 6 games.
Remember, it might not have to be a breach of ethics as much as it is a breach of a rule. And I don't want to be like a stickler for rules like that, but it is what it is in this case. Mm-hmm. The verbiage is there. It's just there.
Maria Carabello just went to $20. So if you want to be the winning bid for the Tua card, you got to go to 40. Shout out to Maria.
Shout out to Maria too. Definitely huge work involved organizing, gathering at Zach Thomas's Hall of Fame induction. So can't wait for August. Can't wait for that. Oh my God, we're gonna watch Zach Thomas in the Hall of Fame.
I know. I'm so excited about that.
Realizing that. Whew.
So all right. So is this a thing where like in does the NFL and the NFLPA kind of come together and say, okay, look, we understand that there needs to be some red tape here and there needs to be some, but can they go back and fine tune this?
They better, but the problem is
because the NFL is coming out very hypocritical in this.
Well, it is. And the very look, there have been a lot of scandals. I want to say a lot, too many than there should be in the world of sports, in a couple of different sports, basketball more prevalently with point shaving and whatnot. But if you're putting relative power in a player on field to swing either an outcome or in even this case props, let me throw a dumb scenario out there. Let's say a wide receiver, instead of shaving points, knows that his yardage over under is a certain point or his catch over under is
86 and a half yards for player X at wide receiver.
Sure.
And he's sitting on 75 yards.
Sure.
Going into the fourth quarter.
Okay. All right. Game's done. Game's done. Let's say they're up by 2 possessions, 3 possessions. Guy's got 6 catches, a touchdown, 75 yards, and they just one more first down, game's over, right? Now, let's say the player knows what his over-under is. The game's already won. Instead of running an extra 5 yards and going out of bounds, maybe he just goes out of bounds the second after he picks up that first down with the knowledge that his buddy put him on the under for his yardage total. Just my point is that
how's that any different from a player getting their bonus in that? Like Rob Gronkowski going out and saying, I need one more catch. How's that? To me, there's no difference in that, Jason. And here's the other effed up part about that scenario too. There have been plenty of scenarios where the team says, no, we're going to bench you for the rest of the game. Well, guys, I'm 2 catches away from getting my $1 million bonus.
Teams have done that.
I know they have. This is stupid. This is like ridiculous. Like, I get it, but here's why the problem for me is with this, right, Jason? The NFL's outright promoting it. And by the way, it's their number 1 sponsor. Sports gambling is their number 1 sponsor. Overnight it became. Back in the day, it was probably what, beer? And before that, it was probably cigarettes.
What? You can't chug a beer at halftime and on camera.
Well, hey, look,
that might cause some problem.
You can't bet on games and team facility either, Jason.
So don't do it. That's the message. Don't do it.
Is there any good scenario that comes out of this?
Any good scenario?
Is there a way to amicably say, you know what, this is how we're gonna deal with this moving forward, so the NFL doesn't look hypocritical, players understand? Because here's the other thing: there are 2 or 3 players that have come out and said, well, I went to this alleged symposium that they said, and I don't ever remember them saying that you could not bet inside of a team facility. Now the NFL saying that they said this here. Now, you and I both know and worked in corporate America long enough where we've been to conferences, work conferences, or we've done training, and something says that like, I'll go back to Bank of America. Every couple of weeks, I had to take updated training on new banking regulations. Do you know how often, but do you know out of like, there are these 30-minute things, and then you answer 10 questions, and then you have to sign a document saying, hey, you went over this, you now know about this. But do you know how much do I know the ins and outs of the new banking regulation? No. I might have taken a thing on it and I might have signed saying I know about it now, but I don't know the ins and outs of the new banking regulation. To me, that's the same thing. Well, we told you guys. Was it in the fine print of a symposium that I allegedly went to? Come on, guys. Let's be real. Let's be honest about this. Now, I don't think anybody moving forward really has an excuse, because now it's at the forefront. You like, this is all over news, and I'm sure teams are like sending memos out to their players and having coaches speak in team meetings. Do not gamble on FanDuel inside of the team facility. Do not gamble on anything. And Raphael's correct. Pete Rose is laughing right now. Pete Rose can't get into the Hall of Fame because of gambling.
But does Pete Rose belong in the Hall of Fame? 1,000,000%, yes.
100% he does, Jason.
Yes. I think the punishment has been served, right? But
well, some people would argue that. Some people would say the punishment was lifetime ban at that time.
Well, you know what? I mean, you let Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame, you have to post. You have to let
Shoeless Joe Jackson
in the Hall of Fame. You know, and Shoeless Joe Jackson had a hell of a series in 1990.
He was the best hitter of that series in the World Series that year, out of both teams, and was banned for the rest of his life from playing baseball, and was clearly the best hitter of that World Series.
If you haven't seen the movie 8 Men Out, it's one of the greatest
great
freaking movie. Oh, it's one of the best baseball movies ever made. 8 Men Out. But yeah, I mean, look, what Pete Rose did is, as a player and or as a manager, he held outcomes in his hand. The best hitter of all time could have placed the ball wherever he wanted. Had control over where money was going. That's the fear. That's why Tim Donaghy, right, the NBA ref,
yeah,
that's why it was such a problem in the end. I mean, Jesus, think about this.
Thank you, AD. I appreciate it, man. That my mom actually got me this. This is the first super chat from AD. Thank you, AD. Your first super chat ever. Thank you, buddy. My mom got me this and sent it to me and said, I want you to put this up. So shout out to Mama Dukes, Mama Daniels for this on-air sign. Thank you, AD. Okay, so look, last thing about this whole ordeal. In theory, you can't necessarily appeal the decision because the rule's in black and white. But could the NFLPA go to the NFL and say, we need to amend this rule? And I know I've already asked this question, but how would that go about that? How would they go about that now? And then also going back to the people that were suspended for 6 games and say, okay, we've amended the rule. We're going to do the same thing for you. Because the season hasn't started yet. I feel like this is an easily correctable thing where they can easily say, okay, if you bet on your sport, period, you're getting 6 games to a year already. And by the way, I don't have a problem with that. But if you bet on a sport that you're not in, and the guy should not be suspended 6 games. And I think that's where my biggest beef is right now, is that this guy's getting almost a half a year. And he did nothing unethical, Jason. It bothers me.
It's not, listen, it bothers me too. It's not a matter of ethics versus non-ethics or ethical, whatever you want to say. Can the NFL Players Association go back and negotiate? This would be a conversation for the Dolphins Twitter person with a legal degree and knows contracts and knows negotiation and labor laws, frankly. That ain't me. But I don't know where they go from this. They have to make it they have to amend it, but players will continually be held accountable.
Stack says that maybe Pete Rose shouldn't have gambled on the game. Seriously, MLB should ban any mention of Pete Rose. The man should die in the shadows, forgotten to baseball. I don't agree with that, Stacks. Look, was the rule like, he should be in the Hall of Fame as a player. He never did anything as a player that was unethical. He did nothing wrong as a player. If you don't want to allow him to come to his induction ceremony, so be it. But the man should be in the Hall of Fame. Point blank. Treat gambling like weed, pain management. Rafael Coordinate says. Daniel Taylor says also Tim Donaghy in the NBA gambling spreads like virus once you get addicted to it. There's I think the documentary's on Netflix, if I'm correct about the whole Tim Donaghy thing. And the point shaving. That's just crazy, that whole thing with the Tim Donaghy situation. And he went into it thinking it would be a 1 or 2 time thing, and then you realize, hey, look, and by the way, the NBA has a lot. They have a lot of things that they have covered up over the years. I mean, the biggest one, Sacramento Kings, LA Lakers, Western Conference Finals. Everybody and their brother believes that NBA rigged that series to a T. Right or wrong? Is that not one of the biggest conspiracy theories in the NBA of all time?
There's a lot of conspiracy theories from the NBA.
That's a big one right there.
I'm pleading the fifth.
Steven, guys got suspended last year for the same thing. You are 100% correct. MLB is saying gambling made Pete Rose a better hitting player. You guys are hilarious. Tom Brady cheats. He's God's gift to football. Lance Armstrong cheats. He's the devil reincarnated. Here's my, Marino's go. I think that's an extreme statement, but I will also say you're not far off from that, because the reality is not far off from that, because in Lance Armstrong's case, every person in his sport, for the most part, was doping and cheating. He was just better at it than everybody else. In Tom Brady's case, he was one of the only ones cheating, and he was better at it than everybody else. So yes, very hypocritical there. What bothers me is when Steven broke the news of Schefter saying there's more suspension to come. Yeah, dude, there's more. I'm still waiting. Like allegedly, there's going to be stuff coming out today, and we're going to see, and we'll have to see. AD, great $20 donation.
Thank you for that. Credit to a very, very, very fun Twitter account, King of Finland. I think was the person who put out, and just to say that sports gambling is illegal in Florida. So don't worry about Miami Dolphins. But if God forbid that happens, that's an egregious breach, because it would be circumventing, you know what I mean? Like there's legalities and illegalities geographically that should take certain areas out of it. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
Dolphin news coming. So don't worry about that.
All right, I'm going to hit the reset button. Jason's just got to fix something real quick on his computer. I'm going to let him do that real quick. Just take him quickly out. Let him go do what he needs to do to fix that issue. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. Maria, you have won the Tua Tagovailoa card. Congratulations. Shout out to Maria. Thank you so much. Remember, 50% of all donations today are going toward Nick Needham's new nonprofit organization. So we're pretty excited about that. 4D Fam. So shout out to you, Maria. You won the Tua Tagovailoa card. You were the highest bidder. Thank you so much for your donation. Awesome. Crew, I'm just going to go through some of the other things here on the chat, just to get them off here. The bubble year was a fraud championship. Also, when the Lakers won California, no, it was not. Stop it. Just stop it. College ball shaving. Jason Terry banned for life from college basketball. Arizona Wildcats. Yep. I mean, that's true too. Stack says, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Rules are quite clear. The players freely chose to ignore the rule from coercion. I don't know. If you're caught gambling in your sport, you should be banned for life. I don't think you should be able to gamble on your sport. I'll give you that, Stacks. I'll give you that. Same with baseball. Everybody was steroided up and and they blackballed an era. Yep, 100%. 4 investigations in 2 seasons is enough. LOL. Yep. Jason Terry can't be in the Hall of Fame for point shaving. You're right. 100%. Let me bring him back. Jason, welcome back. I guess you got what you needed to fixed. Maria won the Tua Tagovailoa card, so shout out to Maria. Maria, if you could DM Jason.
I got it. Maria and we already have a convo going for the Zach Thomas thing. I'll take care of it. Oh, I'll bring it to the Hall of Fame. Easy. I'll talk to you, Maria. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Again, 50% of all donations going towards Nick Needham's. What is it called? 4D
Fam.org. Fun other things in the works with that. So
we might be doing more stuff with some Nick Needham in the organization.
There might be a fun little challenge, so to speak, being in the works during this little off season. So sidebar on that. Stay tuned.
Just wait and see. All right. Let's move on to the next subject. Let's talk about let's get into Miami Dolphins. What happened to all the 2-and-years? That card should have been up to $1,000. I don't know, California. I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's get into Miami Dolphins talk. So one of the things that I kind of wanted to get into today was the Miami Dolphins priorities. You and I have not spoken in about 2.5-3 weeks. There's a lot to kind of get into because we haven't gotten your take on a lot of stuff. What is the priority right now as of June 30th at 12:20 p.m. for the Miami Dolphins? What is the priority right now for them, Jason?
It's a great question. And if I leave something out, that doesn't necessarily mean I don't think it's important. I'm just going to try to put it into prioritization. And that's to extend Christian Wilkins, number one, or to at least plan for that and not go into that allotment. There's about $13.9 million of this year's salary cap. Figure it out, make some cap room, make the man a Dolphin life for at least seemingly so. I think that helps.
All right, hold on. You think the number one priority right now is or should be Christian Wilkins? It's an
overall concept of taking care of your own. Because here's what we can't have.
Let me just interrupt and say this. I don't think he's going to get extended or restructured this offseason. I think it's going to be next offseason.
That it completely could be the case, but I will also add in, you have people that you have to work with in terms of your Zach Sealers, your Connor Williams. You don't want to not have these people all in for this year and then happy to go into future years, because you can't have a 1 year and done scenario.
So, Jason, what I'm hearing from you is that's what you want it to be, and I agree with you. But what do you think is the priority for the Miami Dolphins right now? Like, where's Chris Greer's head? What is his main priority right now, today?
I can't say it's Dalvin Cook because he closed the book on that with the offer. If the offer is in the camp of Dalvin Cook, which it is reported that it is, in that scenario, I think that you move on in terms of you just wait to see what happens. I don't think he's going to be engaging in a crazy negotiation.
I think there's been two offers.
Listen,
there was an initial offer and a secondary offer.
That tells me two things. The initial offer wasn't amazing. The second offer wasn't enough to immediately negate the first offer. So my hope is that the Cook camp goes back to the Dolphins and Greer says, look, get us here and we're good. Which Greer might have to say, can't go there, I'll go here. Done. I do think that Greer would like to put himself in a position to come out that negotiation winner and not go into any funds that he has for other business. Hey, I'll tell you what, you want to know priority? They got to sign Cam Smith. That's going to happen before training camp, or at least you should. You really would like to lock up your first overall rookie, the second round of cornerback Cam Smith, the only rookie not signed. So that has to be on a top 3 level of business going into training camp.
So June 30th, 12:23 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Connor Williams should be the number one priority for the Miami Dolphins.
I don't disagree with that in theory. I mean, because you have a guy who is a top-end center after converting from a guard to a center, and you're already in a unit that's not stellar, that's mediocre at best. So if you take away the first or second best component of that, there could be a lot of trouble. So I agree with you.
I think that if you address the issue that is Connor Williams, correct, and then you take that and that's dealt with in whatever way it is, it becomes a domino effect for how you deal with the rest of the issues that you need to deal with, right? I agree with you that Dalvin Cook is not necessarily a priority because he has already said, hey, look, I've given you the offer. You take it or leave it at this point. I agree with you. I don't think there's going to be a big back and forth. Could there be a third offer? Maybe if they're $1 million off. And it might be something where they say, okay, here's what we'll do. We'll make it, excuse me, incentive-based instead of, upright or guaranteed money, right? Whatever it is. I think that they're close. My personal opinion is Connor Williams needs to be first because Connor Williams then dictates what your number might be for Siler. Mind you, you still have to deal with Cam Smith. Right? So Connor Williams, Siler, 2A, 2B is Cam Smith. Those are your top 3 priorities. If you're able to throw in the Dalvin Cook, great. If you don't get Dalvin Cook, I believe your 4th priority is going to be a veteran running back, i.e. Leonard Fournette. I would love to see Fournette in a Dolphins uniform if this Cook situation doesn't work out. That's my opinion of it. And then you still have to have money for training camp cuts from other teams. You never know who's going to get cut and who's going to be available. And so what I would one of the things that I haven't even put up at the priority list, but probably should be so that they can do a lot of these other things, is Cedric Wilson. What do they do with Cedric, and why hasn't anything been done already?
The top player on my list that if I would put the GM hat on, I'd be making calls on his behalf, because he's a player who I think could benefit another team better than he could the Dolphins. The salary is the issue. I don't know contractually, monetarily, if they would have to trade, eat some money, whatever, or do one of those weird deals that's essentially just trading a person just to dump the salary to get some sort of compensation, but you might have to trade a pick for a team to take on that salary, almost like an Aqib Talib deal or something like that.
The Aqib Talib deal was essentially
buying a draft pick or something.
Buying a draft pick,
right?
Because you can't do that in the NFL. But that's
my point is just a weird deal. Like, it might not match, but you got to clear some money off the books. And I think Cedric Wilson is just an odd man out. He's like the fifth or sixth name when you think of receivers right now.
But if you keep him, you only free up $2 million.
Right. I mean, I think he's just worth more to you.
$7 million.
Yeah, he's worth more to you moved than staying, but it's not an easy scenario to move.
Yeah, it's like $1 million. I don't think it's more than a $2 million difference as far as a cap hit is concerned. Whether you trade them or release them, and they're both bad. So the only. I'll be honest with you, Cedric is going to be on this team because of his contract, unless they trade him, and the priority should be to trade him.
Right. I mean,
Now, let me ask you, are they holding off on a trade because of the Tyreek Hill situation?
It's a great question, too. If there is a number of games where the Dolphins have to be without Tyreek Hill, Cedric Wilson's your 3. That could be all right.
Give me your wide receiver room right now. Tyreek 1, Jalen Waddle 2, Chosen 3.
Chosen 3, Barrios
4.
I mean, you might have to, throw in Cedric Wilson there, but
it's Ezukama, Barrios, and Wilson vying for 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, and your ceiling, with what you're getting with Cedric Wilson, essentially, the
shit, we got swear jar, got River Craycraft.
Yeah,
and Craycraft's making this squad. So
I think that he does. Sure.
I think he's probably number 4, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I think Craycraft.
Daniel loves him. So it's probably Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Chosen, River Craycraft.
Oh, no.
Yeah. River Craycraft, Barrios. Or Barrios, then River. Fine.
I'm happier with that.
Fine.
Deal.
And then Cedric?
If Ezukama.
Cedric on probably 60-70% of the teams in the NFL, he's at worst
a 3.
A 3.
Yeah. Look, you call a depleted receiving corps team. You call a team that literally is desperate, and maybe you do a player swap. You do a 6th rounder in 2004 or 5. I don't care. You're not looking for immediate compensation, because if I told every one of you listening out there right now,
you don't need anything for him. You just want to get the money off the books.
Correct. Because if I said, and I don't mean this to be whatever, if Cedric Wilson doesn't put on pads with the Dolphins for the rest of his life, is he going to affect what the team is right now and their expectations? No.
But I would like that extra $7 million.
That's why you need to move him for peanuts.
Because here's the thing. So here's a question I have for you. What do you want the Dolphins to go with? There's always money that is left over when the season starts. What does that number need to be for the Dolphins, Jason?
5 mil. 3 to 5 million.
Well, then I don't see any way possible that they extend or restructure Seiler, Connor, Christian's out of the question. Christian's not getting extended or restructured this year the way it's currently set up. And even if they do Cedric, I still don't see it happening. It's not beneficial financially for the Dolphins this year to do it. Next year, the number one priority in the offseason from the get-go will be Wilkins' extension.
Next year's going to be dicey. Yes, next year's got a big bunch
and
of
you're
red.
gambling with it. And my hope is that Greer went to Christian in his representation and said, "Hey, look, guys, I hear you. I know that this is what it is, but understand that we love you. We want you here for the long term. It just does not make sense right now to restructure you this offseason. But the moment the season ends this year, you will be our main and first priority." And I think if they're upfront with that, my hope is that Christian will say, "Okay, I'll deal with that." And my hope is that he says, "I just don't want to be franchise tagged. I want to be extended and restructured. And as long as you guys will tell me I'm not going to get a franchise tag, I will be happy." If he gets franchise tagged, then it could get ugly. And I don't want it to get ugly.
I do want to bring back that, a lot of Dolphin fans have the fear of past, but from a contractual, from negotiation, from business standpoint, the current
Thank you, Papa Paul.
The current number 1 and 1A brain trust with this type of stuff, Brandon Shore as the salary cap numbers administrative guy, mixed with Chris Greer not having a Tannenbaum over the head, not having other executives who were his boss, so to speak. The last 5 years, we really could look at the Shore and Greer body of work in this area. I can't explain how they're going to do it.
It's the biggest positive thing of the
That's
front
what I'm
office.
saying. I can't explain how they're going to do it.
They're going to get it done, though.
But they're going to get it done because
Yeah,
it's like
I
that.
agree with
It's
you.
like that good tax attorney that businesses have. The best businesses, the best savers of money, know all the tax codes, know all the cheats, the ins and outs, the legal ways to go around.
An idea restructure Cedric Wilson's contract. There's no
way.
There's no. All right, so here's why that doesn't work, Raphael. There's no benefit for Cedric to do that because he's not getting any playing time here in Miami. And what we would want out of that is a ridiculous discount. And why would he give up $5 to $6 million?
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, Cedric's probably only worth $2 to $3 million tops.
And also remember, he was signed pre-Tyreek Hill trade.
Yes.
So there had to have been a buyer's
signed
remorse.
him with the intention that he was going to get a lot of snaps and he was going to be a big part of this offense. And the moment Tyreek came here, that changed everything. It changed your entire offense.
Mm-hmm. The move or the signing for Cedric Wilson may not have even had a whiff of a potential to get Tyreek Hill. So even after spending the money on Tyreek Hill, I don't care what you needed to do. You just make that move. Who cares who you just brought in?
Scar 305 says we're $35 million over next year, and that's only with 28 signed contracts.
This is one of those things that it looks a lot worse than it really, really, really is. 2 reasons.
Well, here and by the way, while you're giving that, the number one pushback I get is you're kicking the can down the road, and I just want you to
I'm not even that's not my number one. That's my second.
Okay, go ahead.
But yes, you're right. You're kicking the can down the road. You're creating potential outs and dead money situation. Fine. But I could name, I hate doing it. I know we're doing it with Cedric Wilson, but I could name players that when you add up their savings next year of saying goodbye to them, it gets to a nice number without really, truly hurting the Dolphins' future. And you could look at a guy, I hate doing it because I like the player. You look at a Jerome Baker. In 2004, the savings are not paying him for what other people could do in Vic Fangio's defense.
Jerome Baker will not be a Miami Dolphin in 2024.
There's money.
Hot take.
There you go. It's like if you look at I'll reference Seinfeld again. One of my favorite scenes in Seinfeld is when Kramer is just in Jerry's apartment looking under couch cushions just for quarters. Just because, you know what? I need money. That's what they do. In some way, shape, or form, they're going to find it. And either it's getting rid of players, restructuring, doing a trade. Agba, yes, love Emmanuel Agba. Outside of this year, is he a Miami Dolphin? Gun to my head?
No, probably not, unless he restructures or has a ridiculous year. Which,
here's another thing,
by the way, could possibly happen in Vic Fangio's defense.
Here's another thing, and jump all over me if you want. Fine, but whether it's next year or the year after next, you know what the Dolphins have set up for? Life without Xavier Howard, without missing a beat. Because look at our corners.
X is probably here another 1 or 2 years.
Look at the corners. Our fourth corner today could be a number 1 corner in a month, and no one will say boo. If you're telling me that in this year, tell me a crazy level here, and this is why the Dolphins have drafted and built their team the way that they have. If it's week 15, Dolphins are in a really nice record. Xavier's got a hamstring, so he's going to be out. Unfortunately, let's say Jalen's got a shoulder. He's out. You got Kader Kohu, Cam Smith, Nick Needham against the Tennessee Titans. You scared?
No.
Boom. 2 years, that trio. Could those be your 3 cornerbacks in a nickel set? Kader, Cam, Needham? I know they have to be signed and whatnot, but this might be post Jalen Ramsey, Xavier Howard in 2 years. Those monies are gone because that's what football is. They're building the next group. And I think that they've done so effectively where if you have to say goodbye to a Jerome Baker, you got David Long.
Jerome Baker next year, pre-June 1st cut, there's $5 million dead cap, but you save $10 million. Post June 1st cut is $3 million dead money, 3.7, and 11.1 million in cap savings. So Jerome Baker will be a post June 1st trade cut, post June 1st cut next year.
But look at what they're doing right now with a guy who is on a 1-year deal, who is an outside linebacker who they brought back in, and Andrew Van Ginkel, who's now teaching the inside. You know what that's doing? How I read it? That's saying, all right, this year is a contract year for you. Do what we know you could do. But if you could take this inside linebacker role too and make another person expendable, shoot, if we pay you half what we pay him, we're still saving a lot of money. So they're setting themselves up for this.
Kader and Smith combo, hopefully like Surtain and Madison duo.
I can't go that far, but my point is this, is, the Dolphins A team and B teams, their second string are very close. Very, very close. Unlike 4 years ago, where if your first wide receiver went down and you're relying on Isaiah Ford to come on in and be the savior, big problems. But that's not the case in a lot of positions.
Do you think that, here's the thing, right? This year is fans are questioning what this linebacking room's going to look like going into 2023, right? And I think it's a fair question to ask, right? Like David Long coming off of, he's kind of an injury prone player, but when he's playing, he's pretty good, right? And you don't know what Jerome Baker's going to be. You don't know what Channing Tindall's going to be. He's probably been a disappointment as well. But we also don't know what the linebacking crew is going to look like in a Vic Fangio defense right now, because Fangio has stated unequivocally, guys, the defense you are used to normally me seeing is going to look a little bit different, because for a year I've sat behind a computer and I've just kind of seen some new things on how I'm going to approach running a defensive scheme in the NFL now, because he had a year to kind of look at it and evaluate all 30 teams instead of just looking at it from, a 1-year deal. So, one of the things that I was kind of, was wondering is, are we going to miss the leadership and the pass coverage value of, what's his face? Von Joe's favorite player, who just got released. Why am I having a brain for it? Linebacker here last year.
Landon Roberts?
Landon Roberts.
Yeah, I like the Landon Roberts. I think he's a jag. just another guy, just a guy, but
what type of defense do you see us playing? Are we playing a
I'm
3
glad you
linebacker
say
set, a
that.
2 linebacker set, a 4 linebacker set?
Here's where, I
Are the
referenced
linebackers going to
earlier.
have to go out in coverage? Is Jalen Phillips standing up? What does this look like?
See, here's what I like to do in terms of the hybrid of my fun stuff. I like to kind of be the front office upstairs guy looking in, talk to the X's and O's guys, and maybe give an idea, give a pitch, hey, I think this guy could do this thing. And I think that my thing this year, I'm going to throw a question at you. Just let's have some fun. Okay. I think that there's one player on this defense that has a potential chess piece role that if this thing hits with how Vic Fangio can use him, how I hope and pray and think they might use him, sky's the limit, man. What defensive player are we talking about who can maybe help out a little bit in the linebacking area? This is a trick question for you.
Is he in the secondary?
Yes, he is.
Brandon Jones.
Damn right. Because we lost Eric Rowe, which is fine. But Eric Rowe is your tight end kind of coverage guy, kind of hit man, coverage, whatever. But, I think Brandon Jones is a guy who could be a joker, a jack kind of linebacker, jack of all trades. If you look back at some of Fangio's older defenses with the Bears, he kind of has, you got your 2 outside pass rushers, sure, you got a Mike linebacker, so you got your Wilson and your Sam and your Mike, and then you got your jack. And that's kind of a secondary, almost linebacker kind of guy who could do a little bit of everything, maximize the strengths in that person. So we might have another inside linebacker without it being a linebacker. Brandon Jones. Yes, Raphael, you're going where I'm kind of going there. It's the fun math. It's the fun breakdown.
We're gonna see what's the word I'm looking for? Non-conventional.
Yeah,
style defense with Fangio this year.
All right, remember when Flores had that amoeba defense and we were all freaking out because it was fun, it was new, it was fresh? Let's think that way, not that exact specification, but I think as early as week 1, we're going to have these broadcasters, that color commentator is going to say 1, 2, 3, count the D-back, count the whatever. Fangio, yes, Papa Paul. Fangio is going to go so far outside of the box. I can't wait to see what he does inside the box, if you see my pun. I can't wait what this guy is going to do with tweeners. There's one defensive back on this team that is only an outside cornerback, and it's Xavier Howard. Everybody else could play multiple roles. Everyone else.
Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. It is Spread Kindness Friday. Super excited to be hanging out with you. Jason Sarney, my co-host, as in each and every Friday here on Clock Blockers, the #1 Miami fan morning show. I'm your host, Stephen Daniels. Remember, 50% of all donations are going towards
4dfam.org. It is Nick Needham's new charity, and dude's doing work, and he's rehabbing ahead of schedule.
And that's what we do on Spread Kindness Friday. We take a charity, or we take a nonprofit, or we take a cause, and 50% of all the donations that are made that day will go to that charity or cause. And that's what we're going to do moving forward each and every Friday right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network on Clock Blockers. 50% of all donations made on Friday will go towards that charity or cause. Jason, do you have one more card to give away for today before we get into the last topic here?
Let me look. I got my little, I'm prepared. I got my dolphin bin here. So
I know you're always prepared. You're like a Boy Scout. Always be prepared.
If you think I'm a Boy Scout and you're going to rely on me in the forest, yeah, sayonara. We're out. We're done. Peace.
Oh my goodness. Oh man.
I got one.
Go ahead. I'm putting you up on the big screen like I always do when we do cards. Maria won the first card.
We're not starting at $1.
card.
It's an autograph. We're not starting at $1.
Well, you can give it away however you see fit.
Well,
I'll let you choose.
We'll
But remember, however you say it is how it's got to be done. We can't add anything later.
All right. It's a rookie from last year.
Papa Paul just gave us $10. You guys rock.
Rookie from last year. For my money, when you have an autograph on a card, I don't care what kind of player you are on field. Show me effort in signing your name. Eric Ezukama has the best rookie autograph in this class. Easy E.
Awesome. That's a rookie card?
That's
RC at the top right.
Card. Yes, that is his RC rookie card. There it is.
Autograph. Is it numbered?
It's not numbered, but it's one of those.
It's a mosaic, right? Yep.
Silver prism doohickey Wattses. I don't know. There's like 4 or 5 different names, but the fun card. It's got, they call it an on-card auto. On-card auto, I think. But yeah,
however you want to give this away, how do we want to do it?
Well, Papa Paul's got it. We'll start at 10. So if anybody wants to double up,
we're doing double up donations starting at $10. So the next donation's got to go. Matter of fact, here's what we'll do. We won't do double up donations. We'll do because we'll go to 20 and 30. We'll just go up. All right. So you have to beat $10. So and it can't be. It's not a cumulative total. So it's if somebody donates 11, then if Papa Paul wants to come back, he's got to donate 12.
Right.
And that's how we'll do it. So the donate and all the like I said, 50% of all the donations are going towards a great cause. So let's go. Papa Paul's current bid at $10. Who wants to beat that $10 Eric Ezukama offer? And we'll just go up.
Yep.
Let's keep it going. Cash App, PayPal, YouTube, and we'll do it till the top of the hour. We'll go till 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Does that work?
Works for me.
13 minutes from now. Great number.
Works for me.
And remember, 50% of all donations go towards a great cause. So Eric Ezukama card. All right. Here's the other thing I kind of want to get your take in.
Maria in for 11.
That we haven't been able. Oh, Maria's at 11. Let's go. Maria, we'll do that on Cash App or PayPal. Go ahead and put that on Cash App or PayPal, Maria. I think you'll do it on Cash App. Let's go. We're not, and you got to donate. And remember, all the donations are just going. So if you donate and you don't win, it just went to a great cause. That's all. So let's go. What I want to get from you is, what are the Dolphins' viewpoint of the Tyreek Hill situation? I want to get your point on that. Your view on this. What are Dolphins pissed off? Is the front office upset? I think it's the one thing that hasn't been too much talked about in this whole ordeal with the Tyreek Hill situation is, what is the Dolphins' viewpoint on this?
From that standpoint,
and Maria just did $11 on Cash App.
Those inner workings, I'm going to tell you, we're not going to. How they truly feel and are having their meetings, I can't tell you. That's such high level stuff. I can't break down their thought process of it. I could guess that there's probably a relative amount of disappointment that you are representing a logo, you're representing an organization. There are different factors and severities of conduct, but you should handle yourself in an appropriate way when you are one of the faces of an organization. My ordeal is I don't know if they have a quite grasp of what exactly happened, except probably from Tyreek Hill's party. I'm sure they probably have done a little bit of their own investigation, quote unquote, or their dig of the situation. But ultimately, the reason I wanted to go into this, Jason, was it's taken a year for the Devontae Adams situation, and we're still and that was on camera, right? Why is the NFL, or why are we just waiting in limbo for all of these things to take resolve? Well, we know about it a lot more than years past because it's so out there. News is instant. Everything's instant. We want things instant. Even when things take a while, people are getting updates of this particular or that particular. So who really knows? But if you want to mirror the Devontae Adams situation, Dolphin fans have to have a little bit of hope that it's not going to be such a horrible situation. Does he miss games? I don't know, but you just wish it didn't happen. That's number one. But you just don't know how it's officially going to turn out. But we're gonna read about it because that's the news, and it's instantaneous.
It is instantaneous. My big thing is, until we see the video and audio of the ordeal, I just don't think we're gonna get a good grasp. I would say because there's been no criminal charges pressed, I don't know how egregious it's probably going to be. I'm sure it's not going to look great, but I'm sure that from everything that I've heard, it is about my assumption, and we all know what assumptions are, Jason, is that is that it's probably, two parties that just got into an altercation, and that it just, that's what happened. And I ultimately think that's what it is. The reason I brought it up, we beat it with a dead horse, for lack of a better term, yesterday on the show, or the last couple of days for that matter. But I think the one thing out of all the things that I've watched on a lot of the Dolphins YouTubers and content creators is we haven't really gotten the sense of what the Dolphins think of this situation. And I think that's a good thing because, from years past, I could tell you when the first news came out, for me, it was, oh my God, here we go again, another Dolphins offseason issue. That was my very first, thought process of the whole ordeal. Colin LaRoche, I appreciate they said, I can't donate, but I did hit the like button. Guys, if you can't donate, that's fine, man. Hitting the like button helps the channel grow. Hit the like button. Thank you, Colin. That's a big deal. Thank you, Colin. I appreciate that, man. The new policy is required that police investigate got to be done before the NFL can do anything. I read the thing in more detail yesterday. What I got from what the rule is that the NFL and the NFLPA they have a third party investigator do it, and it's on them to do it. Now, if the investigator says, hey, look, we're going to wait for this thing to play out, so be it. But there's nothing in black and white that says that an outside investigation, police, criminal, DA, whatever, has anything to do with it. It has to do with the third party, with the independent investigator that is picked between the NFLPA and the NFL, and that's what I think that is. I just think, and to Jason's point, he's right. It's the world that we live in now, and we get this in. And Jason, you want to hear the effed up thing about this whole thing? I think that Ryan Smith from Stack says, Ryan Smith from ESPN, their legal analyst, said the league can't take action until pending litigation is settled. We read in the rules yesterday, it said the third part. I'm just telling you what I interpreted from reading the articles of the NFLPA guidelines, or the NFL guidelines on disciplinary action, that there's a disciplinary officer, quotation, that's what he's called, is assigned, that is chosen by the NFLPA and the NFL, and that until that person, the disciplinary officer's investigation is concluded, there can't be any disciplinary action taken. And then if there's an appeal, then the appeal goes to, by the way, Papa Paul just went to $15. Let's go, Papa Paul.
And for John 83, it's just biggest number wins. So if you want to go to 16, you're in the lead.
Yep. Let's go. Put up the card, Jason, and I'll throw it up on the big screen again for you. There we go. Eric Easy E autograph card. Rookie card, mind you. I think that's kind of where we're at in this whole ordeal. Now, my hope is that there's a quick resolve to it, but nothing states to me that there will be a quick resolve to it. And I ultimately don't think that there's going to be Ryan Smith, attorney, Stephen D, YouTube host. I accept Ryan Smith's interpretation. That's fine. That's fine, Stacks. I am telling you what I read, and that's all I have ever said. I said my interpretation off of what I read is that it has nothing to do with a outside investigation. It has to do with a disciplinary officer that's assigned by the NFL and the NFLPA. Now, in there, it did say that the disciplinary officer could, as part of his or her investigation, take into account litigation that's from the outside. That's fine. But it's all up to the disciplinary officer is how I interpreted what was read. And when that is concluded, so be it. That's fine. You want to listen to Ryan Smith over Stephen Daniels? You do that, Stacks. You do that. Who am I? Nobody. I got you. Gosh, man. Maria, you just donated $5. It's total. So right now it's $16 donation would have to do it. That's just, we're just doing it like that for this. There's times
auction
where we do
style.
total. Auction style. Yeah. Oh, John 83 with his $20 donation, he says still want the Tua card. If you win, I'm sure that Jason will be able to throw in some sort of Tua card with that. I'm sure he's got a Tua card lying around. That
what am I made a Tua card? No, I'm just kidding.
If you win,
I got it.
Right now the winning bid is $20. $20. All right. So it's auction style. And all the and 50% of all the money raised going towards Nick Needham's charity, which is great.
4D.org.
As a matter of fact, hold on. I have it, John. I actually have that Tua card that you won from the past. I got the Tua card. Don't worry about it. You're gonna get that sent no matter what, John. DM me. And I'll make sure you get it because I have it. I have it here. It says John 83 on it. So yeah. Stacks, Goodell trumps all other outcomes. Why you think he got erased? Fins Nation, we are family and community. We support our own. Thank you, Daniel Taylor. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Let's keep them coming, man. Let's keep them coming. All right. Any other thing you want to get into Dolphins wise before we wrap up the show a little bit here in a few?
Training camp on the horizon. You got to watch
excited
until us fans can get a chance to gather, which I can't wait for. Enjoy kind of the next couple of weeks before everything really starts again. I can't wait for that. I hope in the couple of weeks that are leading into that, Dolphins may add some people. Dolphins may extend some people. And this team goes into training camp a bit more potent than they are.
Maria just donated $30.
Looks like I'm going to be bringing maybe 2 cards to Canton. If she wants them earlier, I'll send them. Maria will talk. But thank you, Maria. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for training camp. I think training camp is going to be able to tell a lot about where we're at and where we're headed as a team. And for me, the inter squad practices, I think we have 2 of them this year, right?
Houston and Atlanta,
right? So I think that will be the case, and I'm excited to see the Houston and Atlanta one. Not because of Houston and Atlanta per se, but because I think it'll be a great indicator on what type of defense this will be, or what type of, what will Devon A-Chain look like, right? Like I'll be honest with you, one of the players I'm most excited to see this year is Devon A-Chain.
I'll tell you who my guess is, where he could be a light version of for Dolphin fans of a certain age. From a statistical standpoint and from his job, he will be a running back that will be getting many, many, many receptions. If you remember in the early 90s, Terry Kirby, as a rookie, led the Miami Dolphins in receptions. That's not going to be the case with Devon A-Chain when you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. But I believe Terry Kirby had around 66 catches as a rookie. Even half that will be a lot for a rookie running back. Devon A-Chain is going to get some receptions this
year. Well, if Dalvin's not here, if Dalvin's here, he's going to get some of those.
Absolutely, but
ultimately, what do you
do
the Dolphins sign Dalvin? Do you think he ends up here?
It's 50-50. I'm sorry.
You just don't know right now.
It's look, I would have said 75-25 right after our last show when we were really talking about this. But now that we know there are multiple offers, now that we know that there has not been one accepted for one of them being the hometown perfect fit, so we know that the money's not necessarily there, but we also know that he's not offended by it enough to just go take the second offer. So there also could be a phantom third or fourth order that comes. 50-50. If we really, really, really want to be positive, 51-49 positive news.
Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. We're in the afternoon. We went almost 2 hours today. Maria, you just won the second card as well. So shout out to Maria. She won the Eric Ezukama autograph card. It's 101. I said we would go till 1. I gave people an extra minute. So shout out to Maria. We are $22 away from hitting the $100 mark on YouTube for donations for today. So guys, let's do it. Let's just get there. Remember, 50% of all donations go towards a great cause today. Would love to see that. I'm getting a couple of questions in here. I'll just answer it real quick. Yeah. Steven, what are your thoughts on the Marlins, and is their second half of the season, because it looks difficult, but they can win and make it to the playoffs? Marlins essentially have one of the best players in baseball, and their pitching needs to get better. And if they can get another pitcher or two come trade deadline, I think that they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. I'm excited. We're going to learn a lot about them this week. This weekend, today, tomorrow, and Sunday, they play a 3-game series against Atlanta, which is in first place in the NL East. So you want to get a good indicator of where the Marlins are at, go watch some games this weekend. I think you'll get a clear indication on where they are, on where they're at. So it'll be interesting to see what they have there. The other thing that I think will be very interesting too, from the standpoint of the Marlins, is, what do they do in the end of July and the beginning of August? And when you get into the end of July and beginning of August, you start realizing, okay, you'll see the playoff teams, and you'll see if teams are there at the end or not. And dude, they're probably the 10th best team in baseball right now. They're in the top 10 in my opinion. So that's where I think that they're at, and I think that they're going to be fine. I'm excited about it.
I think Marlins. I think Orestes Estrada.
Pop Paul says A-Chain offensive rookie of the year. I like it. I'm okay with that. Again, if Dalvin's not here, 100% could be in the running. Gotta run, Stephen D. Great show as always. See you all soon. I also want to get you on my show, brother. Hey, man, just hit me up. Just hit me up, man. We'll definitely do it. I appreciate all the donations today, Papa Paul. Thank you very much, man. Good stuff, bro. Nice to see the new bloods helping out. It's cool, bro. I appreciate that, man. It is, man. I love to see it. Love to see it, man. The show is growing. We know the show is growing. It's getting bigger. It's getting better. And what do you got planned, man? What do you got planned for this week?
Fun weekend.
And by the way, 4th of July, Tuesday next week as well.
July 4th, the long weekend is usually a weekend. I head upstate with the family, Catskills. Fun little getaway. So just hang out with the family and some kind of extended family.
Are you doing that with the weather, with all these air alerts that we're getting up north?
Yeah, no, we're doing it. Got the text saying the weather's going to be fine. Make the drive from the parents, So
they canceled our kids mini golf. My kids go to camp, and they canceled mini golf today because of the air quality. Disappointing.
Just yet another thing to track to make sure it's decent to go outside and live your life, right?
Just live our lives, man. That's all we got to do. Just trying to live our lives out here as Dolphins fans. That's all we want to do. I thought I escaped it when I went down to Miami for the NHL and NBA finals, and I didn't. They still came back up here. Steven, what would you say if James Harden lands on the Heat? I want Dame time. I would rather have Damian Lillard over James Harden. I really don't want James Harden on the Heat. There's a rumor saying Max Strus could get traded to Cleveland. The Strus is loose. Max Strus. I don't know. I'm hoping to have the Locked On Heat guy on here soon and just talk about kind of the offseason that they're going to have. Look, there's going to be a couple players that are going to be available for the Miami Heat. It's just where are they going to go? So we'll have to see what happens, and I hope that they make good choices, and we'll have to see. All right, Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers, right here on the Miami Sports Music Podcast Network. Final thought of the day, Jason. Final thought.
Ooh, wow. Final thought of the day. Happy and a healthy weekend, everybody. First and foremost. Just get ready for a fun year, because I know there's some annoyances going on. The Tariq, are we going to get Dalvin or not? Is Tua going to be a black belt in jiu-jitsu?
Black belt, baby.
I'm excited. I have not been this excited at this time of the year since before I had a driver's license. That was a long time ago.
John with the $20 donation. Guys, we're $2 away from $100 donations on YouTube. Let's go. Thank you, John 83. Appreciate
Thank you,
it,
John. I got a Tua card for you, John, on top of the other one. I appreciate you.
John, DM Jason to get your mailing address.
Yeah.
GM at Jason_Sarney, John. Do that for me. Make sure you DM John, and we'll make sure we get it. Maria, thank you for your donations today. Thank you everybody who donated on the show today. It was absolutely amazing. Let's see, we got Cruz Ruiz donated, AD donated, Papa Paul donated, John 83 donated. We had Maria Carabello, she donated. And I think that's everybody who donated on the show today. Thank you so much for your donations. They're greatly appreciated. They help the show grow. And, that's the only way we're going to get bigger. So I'm excited about it. By the way, shout out to Solo D. Speaking of Solo D in the song, my man's about to have a baby girl here soon. Shout out to the Honorable Solo D. About to have a baby girl.
Family.
About to be a girl dad. Girl dad. Maria just sent an additional $10 on Cash App.
Thank you. We did. Hit the goal.
Go. Love it. It is so. That's the best part about this community, coming together, doing big things, and it helps, man. It helps. I love you, brother. I want you to have a good 4th of July weekend. Love doing the show with you on Fridays. Spread Kindness Friday is my favorite day of the week. It's my favorite day, man.
I love it. I appreciate you having me as always. You take care with your family this weekend. Enjoy yourself. And you got baseball, you got NASCAR. I know you're gonna be doing some sports. What are you doing,
dude? So I'll be watching baseball this weekend. I'll be watching NASCAR this weekend. I'll be eating a lot this weekend. And I don't know if I'm gonna do a show on Monday or Tuesday. I might do one on Monday. I'm not doing one on Tuesday on the 4th of July. Because I plan on barbecuing on the 4th.
Yes,
of July.
sir.
I'm excited. It's one of my favorite holidays. Barbecuing on the 4th.
We're doing a pancake breakfast morning on Tuesday morning for the kids, and then that night we'll do a barbecue too. Can't wait.
I'm trying to see what the weather is over here. Joppa weather.
Hopefully the air quality is good.
Joppa weather Tuesday, 88 degrees and partly cloudy, 20% chance of rain.
That's like nothing.
I think we're good. Little overcast towards the afternoon. Hopefully there's no rain. Fall Master Tua, Raphael says. Y'all are too much, man. Leave that man alone. Let that man live. Let that man work. All right, man. Enjoy. Y'all are the best. My homework for y'all is reach out to somebody you haven't reached out to in a long time. Let them know that you're thinking about them. You never know what somebody's going through mentally, and mental health is a real thing. If you feel, if you're stuck with, lonely and suicidal thoughts, understand that the suicide hotline is there, 988 the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. I'm always big in promoting that. Mental health is a big thing. Go talk to somebody, man. Mental health is big. So if you need to talk to somebody, don't let your pride do it. Make the phone call. Get some help, man. I'm big on it, and I think it saved my life. So just do it, man. Mental health's big. So hashtag Spread Kindness Friday. Let's do it. Jason Sarney at Jason_Sarney. Make sure you go follow him at Stephen D SKPL. Spread kindness, positivity, and love. I love you all. Y'all the best fans in the world, and we will see you next week here on the #1 Miami Fan Morning Show. Clock Blockers. Peace.
Hit them with the people's elbows, stick together like it's Velcro. You think you could stop us? Hell no, all day I dream about sports. I think I need some shadows.